Victor. Many liberties being taken with this guy. It's positioning up top section of mid.
It's drawn so many people, but there's no one really to exploit that elsewhere.
They're in the smoke. They're right at his back. And all the players underway, sir! Everybody falls! One left to stand, but Crashes cannot do it!
Yeah, so today we're going to take a look at Sentinels versus NRG and how Sentinels managed to give FNS and Psalm a loss on their return back. We're going to take a look at round number 6 here. Sentinels are on the attack, NRG are on the defense. And let's start. We're going to see some good, some bad from both teams, I think, in this video. Mostly good from Sentinels, and to be honest, pretty good from NRG, I thought, on the whole in this map. But let's just start with this, right? Because this is the first thing I want to talk about NRG. The difference, straight away, from the old NRG to the one with FNS and Psalm here is, it looks like they have a plan, right? They actually do stuff, you know, they do stuff and it's coherent and it makes sense, right? Like they put this camera in here, they come to B main with 2 players, initially get this camera deep set up here, doesn't see anyone, okay, well, I'm going to come back to mid, these guys are going to come back to mid, we're maybe going to come and look for a mid fight, right? Like little things like this, just like a plan. Right, like you have to remember where NRG were. They did not have plans. You know, we come out, we drone mid here. These sort of like little plans, you know, in a round, these were not there. Right, these sort of things did not exist where we've got a team-wide plan. Right, so that's good. Right, that's just instantly the first thing that is good for NRG. And eventually this camera does get shot here for FNS, so that does bring them back over towards B. You can see just here with the Cypher and the Neon. But actually Sentinels, in a second, they're going to come back over towards A instead. Now, I do think there's one thing here that, you know, is somewhat interesting, and I think, you know, Psalm has obviously been on this angle the whole time. I think that here with his smokes, he's a little bit too obvious with what he's doing, because there's 3 different one-ways you can do here with Omen, right? The most common one is here on the box, of course, that you'll commonly see done. Then you've got the one that he's doing right here, and then obviously you've got the one back here. But you'll see just in a second, like as we progress in this round, you know, he's doing this kind of, let's call the second one-way, right? Which I think is just a bit of a clue to Sentinels, right? It just makes this part obviously pretty easy for him. But then going from here to get to elbow is just much easier, right? You can just do it. And you see there that this one way then fades, and enough time has passed now that Psalm doesn't have any other one ways. So now he just has to kind of give it up. And then in a second, he's going to put down a new one way. You can just see it starting to bloom there in the background. He's going to then just do this deeper one way. Right, so maybe with the time coming through, and obviously they did send a KO knife in here as well, they don't really have the information here, NRG, and so Sentinels make the correct read. And as I said, like this one way, I think it just makes it a bit obvious for Sentinels as to what, you know, NRG are doing, because they've thrown a KO knife from here. They then just put up this one way, so you're going to see now that these guys in here, they're going to bombard this part with utility, I think, because, you know, a KO knife has been thrown from here. You're doing this one way. Like, it's very, very obvious for Sentinels that you are in this position. So we're going to see like Breach Stun, Omen Flash, right? Come in here and just really bombard this area and make it pretty, you know, easy for Sentinels to come in and take the site, as you'll see in a second. So yeah, the Dizzy Flash, you see the stun there, you see the Omen Flash coming across as well, right? These guys have no chance, and the spike is going to go down. But from this point, NRG are going to come back with a really nice retake of their own.
Another retake situation. 2 flashes, but no fragment for Ethan. It's proactivity. It's the name of the game right now for Sentinels. And look at that. Hookline sinker. It's Victor who's going to be caught. Catch to the side. Beautiful flash now with the refight. NRG want to make a go of this one.
And they got to win this round.
Do indeed. The knife forward to the back. Ethan! It's the back of the head that is finally killed and collected. These bullets are flying forwards. Spraying away, finally toppling them. And like you said, it was a must-win round from NRG.
So yeah, pretty nice there from NRG in general, right? And I think there's a couple things I like here, right? The first one is just the general macro plan of not coming down through this way and actually coming fully from CT instead. The reason is, particularly against this Breach Omen comp, right? And sure, they have used their Breach Stun and Omen Flash to actually take the site here, right? And anytime you try and come down here, you know, you're just going to get blasted, whether it's from like this side or this side, you're just going to get blasted by that utility. And I actually think it is a bit easier sometimes to just retake through CT, because Sentinels have a big focus on not allowing you to do that kind of normal retake. And we see here, obviously, it doesn't even start great for them, because Sentinels are proactive here. You know, they go for the Gecko ult, smoke fades up. Kind of an awful time there for Victor. But then this, right? Really nice. The KO Flash, the Omen Flash together. Little note here for NRG just in general. Like, the Omen Flash is insane. Play Omen on Lotus. Don't play Clove. Because this is really good. See this ability here? Really good, isn't it? Gets you 2 kills. It's quite nice. Quite a nice ability right there. And then from here, obviously, they're then able to convert the rest of the round. So yeah, it's a nice retake here from NRG, and I think these kind of rounds, you know, you just wouldn't really see. I mean, just our spacing, you know, our timing as a team is good, right? Like, these are the kind of things that we weren't really seeing before, and, you know, these were kind of the first few positive signs that we've had for NRG for some time. Okay, next one here, round number 8, and this is the thing. NRG actually did struggle on this defense side, and let's take a look at this one and kind of some of the things that maybe went a bit wrong for them. But again, they come up with an interesting plan here, right? We're going to get the smoke out early towards their main. We get the neon running. We're going to get an ulti picked up here by Victor as well, and then he's going to leave, right? So we're kind of, you know, pretending that this is where our strong side is, right? Whilst we actually Silver Dart out here towards B. Again, we have an actual plan, which is good. And then we're actually going to, you know, just have the Cypher set up here on A instead, and we're going to rotate over towards B, you know, making use of our Neon and our comp and whatnot. You know, makes sense, right? And now we're going to play a really passive round, as you'll just see from the map, if I kind of run it a bit quicker, because then I'm going to take that time here. We end up in this very passive stance. Now, here's the thing. I actually think that this is not too bad of an idea to do sometimes, right, where we're in this very passive stance, because it can confuse people, right? Particularly if you're Sen, you know, you're not expecting them to be like this passive everywhere, right? It's like, where are they? You know, and you see Sen, they walk all the way up towards A, and you'll see eventually that, you know, they keep going, but they end up like turning around and thinking like, we don't like this, right? Like something's amiss here, right? That they don't like it. And you see, you know, John gets all the way up. But now we're going to see something very clever as well. Because here's the thing. We do have a raise ult for Zekken here and Sentinels, right? We've got a raise ult. But on the other side, Ethan has a KO ult. So this is really, really clever by NRG. Because what you're going to see is Ethan's going to throw across the map KO knife here over towards A, right? But if you're Sentinels, you're thinking, well, that KO knife has probably come from A itself. It hasn't come across the map. It's probably your first thought, right? So when they're in this position, that you'll see, I mean, just watch Sentinels here, right? They're going to come for what looks like a B split. And again, they have seen no one, right? There's 30 seconds left. They've still seen no one. They have no idea where anyone is. You know, this util ends up not hitting anyone either. And you see that this KO knife has now just come in onto this site. But you see that we came in here looking like John is actually calling them back towards A, right? The Gecko and the Breach here have actually started to sort of drift back slightly. But you'll see that after the KO knife comes in here, they're like, oh, then you see Zekken actually starts running back as well, right? They're coming back to A, but then John's like, oh, the KO knife's on A, so don't come in. Alt B, raise Alt B. You see Zekken, he starts walking back. He walks back to B, right? Because now it's like raise Alt B, because the KO is here on A, right? Well, no, the KO is here on B instead, and so they get them. You know, it's like a clever, like, super passive setup here that gets them, right? And they're a bit surprised. And now we have 4 people here. So again, the plan actually is fairly decent here for NRG, but this is where Sentinels are going to turn it up to 1,000,000, because the way that they play this round from this point on is really, really good.
Answer it, so Ethan, he can quickly rip away that ult advantage, but it doesn't stop the gun. Bullets flying straight forward. Paranoia dodged and avoided, still tagged up. Zekken close to the pillar. He's got his teammates to back him up now. Side to side, shoulder to shoulder with the Paranoia forwards. That is pure proactivity. There's absolutely nobody that can match this guy's freak.
So really good there by Sentinels. And the one thing I will say for NRG is when we're in this position, right, and the spike is going down with the wingman just here, we've got 4 players here, we've got the KO ult going off. This is where they just have to have a bit more kind of confidence, I think, and they've got to like they've got to realize, like, we've got the players here and we've got the util advantage now because they can't use any. That this is our moment to attack, right? This is our moment to get out and attack. But you see, it just kind of ends up not really happening, right? And you know, we're a bit slow, and maybe it's because the timing of that kill is like as bad as it could have been for them, really, like as they were just about to go out, but. You know, they're just a little slow here, you know, and they don't ever really come and attack them, and they wait for Sentinels to get their util back, and by the time Sentinels got their util back, you know, it's just over, right? So, NRG maybe just slightly missed the window there that they needed to, you know, fully attack in that moment, but unfortunately Victor died, and it kind of ruined it all. But yeah, really nice from Sentinels there once their util did come back online, you know, and Zekken was farming. But it wasn't just NRG who struggled on their defense side, because at one point this game was 11-3, but we'd end up going to overtime, and the way that we ended up kind of going to overtime was that NRG unleashed their secret weapon, which was their A hit.
on the bench in Marv Cut, but they were hoping that the extra coordination and chemistry would allow players to shine. And there's
Quite
Victor
nice.
with the Bulldog, applying
the stun,
tons
man.
of pressure.
Yeah. That's a lovely one. Applied onto second, so he was just a sitting duck. Victor wants a few more. Lovely flash!
This is what you need to see, that coordination between Victor and Ethan.
Yeah, he's feeling it.
Get the ace.
He's
Why not?
locked in. Pops the ult. He can hear him. The footsteps. Kara and away. He won't give him anything.
Oh, not the investment of the ult and still not getting the ace.
So Sentinels just couldn't deal with NRG's A hit, and we saw there that maybe the pace of the Neon was a bit of a problem. Then later on, FNS started calling some pauses that were problems for Sentinels as well. And so we got towards the end of the game, 12-10 to Sentinels. And I do think that Sentinels started to panic a bit when we got to this point, because like if we take a look at this setup, you see we're 4-stacking A because we struggled with dealing with A. And actually they did this exact same setup the round before as well, right? Exactly the same. But the thing is, in the round before, okay, it made some sense, and NRG just ended up going B, as they do again, calling Sentinels bluff. But this one, it doesn't really make sense, because NRG have a KO ult, right? And it's like, you're on 12, like, they're going to use that KO ult this round, surely. And this B setup just doesn't make any sense versus a KO ult, right? Like, your Cypher will get suppressed, and then these trips that you're hoping to get kills from in the camera, it's just going to get destroyed. And this is just the freest of freest sights ever. And any advantage that you're hoping to get is just not there. And these guys are on the other side of the map, you know, as far away as they possibly could be, playing like a passive 4-stack A hold, right? Like it's if they go B in this round, you are almost automatically losing. And go B they did, of course, as we can see here from NRG. And that's pretty much exactly what happens. And I do think that Sentinels started to, you know, panic a bit maybe, you know, in terms of like, they just didn't know what to do about A. So it kind of became a big problem for them. In come NRG, in comes the suppress, and it's like, well, instantly, you know, all of the Cypher stuff just gets destroyed. You know, we're still doing this smoke on the site that is basically just a waste of a smoke as well. And now we're just, you know, we're retaking from super far away. The spike is already down. We're nowhere near. I mean, John is at the back all the way out here as well. You know, and the setup just didn't really make sense for the round that, you know, could potentially happen with this KO just coming B. And I think that Sen started to struggle a little bit.
Exact. Another excellent read from FNS.
That has to be the full retake from Sentinels.
It's the exact same round. FNS in the same position. Victor deep onto site.
Yeah, not cleared though from the deep hole, the 10s.
I mean, that is everybody suppressed.
Oh my goodness. Flash. No attempt to punish, he still wants to go for this one. The movement ajar from Sassy, but the wingman still active into the fight. Trying to get onto this one. The fuse disrupted and broken. Mosh pit found. The kills are flowing. The feed is built up. It's awesome. The fuse broken. The bullets. Sentinels.
I don't think
Time.
they don't have enough.
So Sen did actually end up giving it a good go there. Weirdly enough, this KO knife I actually think might have helped Sentinels, because it suppresses like all of them, and so what that means, they can't use it, so they just have to run out, right? So they don't use any of their util, and you see they've got obviously tons of util left, basically all of it, right? But now they just can't use it for retaking this first part of site, which means that then they have to use it for B main, right? Like it forces them to use it in B main, which obviously then allows them to kill all of these guys deep in B main and, you know, give this round a good go and, you know, almost win the round essentially. This is technically a 2v5 that they lose, but obviously it's sunset, so, you know, it is what it is, right? Like what great map design this was. But yeah, a super close round, but we would go on to OT. And it's really in OT and this first round of overtime that I think NRG will really be kicking themselves, because this is a round that they definitely should have won. This is a definite win. They come up with a different plan. They had not done this all defense side with the Neon opping, and it gets them the first kill, right? They get the first kill here from opping and B main, and they get out, right? And now we're just straight in a 5v4, right? So the initial plan that we came up with for this overtime round has worked. It worked for us, right? We're in a good spot already. And now Sentinels seem a bit confused, right? They don't fully know what to do. Their Gecko is dead, so that's kind of the information game gone for them there in terms of, you know, any information they were going together is gone. Obviously, they can't, you know, plant the spike with the wingman as well. So losing a Gecko in this comp is quite big, really. And you see Sen, you know, they leave 10s here and B main, but, They come back towards A, but then, you know, they're not really too sure. They've lost control of the map, you know, on other spaces. So they have to come and clear out mid, make sure that no one's pushed mid on them early just there. They then come back towards A. And you see that NRG, they're unmoved at this point, right? We've got a Cypher setup across the map that is allowing us to double stack here, you know, keep 3 players over towards B. You got the camera just in top mid, not seeing anything over here. We're now going to get a stun across here from Zelsis over towards Elbow, and they're going to make this look like, oh, we're coming towards A, right? And Zekken does a little jump peek and is maybe a bit fortunate to survive there, but does survive, right? And now they're just going to send like one little breach flash, but eventually the time is going to elapse to where these guys realize, like, you know, nothing's really going on. So again, these guys don't move. Right, they just trust the process. They're in a 5v4 already. These guys don't move, and in fact, after a certain amount of time, they start to even realize, like, oh, this probably isn't an A hit. And you're in this position. There's only 20 seconds left, right? In come Sentinels. These guys here on the site, you know, we've still got full KO util up here as well, right? We've still got the Cypher trips, you know, kind of guarding our flanks as well here, you know, and obviously the camera in mid. So we've still got the Cypher trip for this as well. We're in a good spot. We should not be losing from this spot. This is a tough loss.
Get ready.
So the stack is ready to meet them. Already the cage dropped up in front of them. Ethan underhanded with the flash. Realizes they've already got themselves into the site here with only 9 seconds to go. How did they even get a foothold to get the plant down? Sentinels. It's desperation. They've got to try and hold it down. And they do just that. It's a 3v2 now. In the blink of an eye. Crashies dancing with death itself there. Stun, popped up. This is up to Som. Aftershock. Perfect. Just about lands here. Pushes it away for the first wave. Another tap from Som, but it's going to be the double face to end that round.
Now, I am going to shoot NRG some bail here because a lot of teams would lose this round, I think. Because when you get low on time in a position like this, in a situation like this, what ends up happening a lot, and FBX won a lot of rounds like this in Master Shanghai, is everyone tries to win the round on their own. Everyone thinks if I can just kill the spike carrier, we win. So everyone just tries to kill the spike carrier on their own. And you end up in this position where we're in a 5v4, they've got no time, we know where they are. You know, you're in a good spot anyway to maybe play for a retake, but everyone just tries to win that fight on their own because the time is low and that would win the round on its own. Right, and this happens a lot in these kind of situations. And then I think once we get into this 3v2 a bit more settled, Sen play this very well, right? They pretty much maximize their chances of winning. You know, they do everything right. You know, the aftershock is great. The double swing is great at the end. So I can shoot NRG some bail on this one because I do think this interest in these chaotic moments, that kind of thing happens, but it is still a crushing loss. And then finally, in the last round of the game here, round number 26, I think NRG just got too cute, to be honest. I think that they just, like, what worked for them was Sentinels could not defend A, and then so when Sentinels over-prioritized A, they went B, and that worked for them, right? And I think that they got a bit cute here. I don't even fully know what the round plan is going to be in this one, right? They end up double smoking top mid, and it's like, once you've used a second smoke for it, it starts to get a bit fishy, right? It's like, okay, well, you're actually committing to this then. It's often the call. And we just end up with them. I mean, we just end up with no util walking out mid on our own. Like, but I don't even know, like, what's our plan here, right? Because you think with a Neon, if you're going to do, like, this kind of, like, mid-split, you're going to come down here and you're going to try and, you know, come maybe into CT. You know, you've got the tools to maybe do that, right? You can send a Neon wall probably somewhere up here, come around here, stun, slide, and you go, you know, with a KO flash over the top and maybe a Sova dart as well, right? Like, that's an option for you. But instead, we've ended up with this, which I'm not sure if they were about to do that. Maybe they were, but I mean, Victor's put himself in a position where this can happen, right? Where he ends up losing this fight to Sassy, and then all chaos breaks loose, and we're just screwed.
And all the players underway, sir! Everybody falls! One left to stand, but Crashes cannot do it!
So, on the whole, I think for Sentinels, pretty positive. And I even think for NRG as well. Even though they lost, I think on the whole, it was definitely better than the old NRG for sure. And I think that with maybe a bit more time, they can improve and become, you know, a potentially pretty decent team.